I'm still a Muslim, but you know what? Don't tell anybody. I want to get out. It's not very.
You are live on air. You are live on air now.
Yeah, please don't tell anybody. It's serious. Yeah, I wanted to ask you about.
But you are live on air. If you don't want me to tell anybody, are you being like joking or what?
No, I'm not joking. Okay, look, I bought 3 of your books, both books here. Right. The Sex 1, Sex 2,
you are saying also, you do not want me to tell who are you as a person. Don't worry. Always we keep things private. All right.
Yeah, please. But I'm from West Africa originally. I'm currently living in Germany. Okay, I am an asylum seeker in Germany. Okay, you know how it works through this migration stuff, and there's nothing wrong about it. But I'm telling you. Okay, now I wanted to ask you about. Do you know anything about this group, this domination called Malikis? Because this is where this is exactly the type of Islam my family is practicing. Okay, and just last week, I got into a very big fight, virtually, argumentation, over the phone, okay? Yeah, so I wanted to, did you know, Christian Prince, the real truth about circumcision? You know, like women, they should be circumcised because if not, they will be very unruly and they will be fighting for over men, you know. So I heard a lot about this, but it's a big topic in West Africa right now. You know, and my position is that I don't want in future, if I will be married, my daughter, I don't want my daughter to go through this circumcision. But it's something that is very rooted down there. So I want you to tell me, please, what did you see in the teachings of Islam? Because I understand from what I read from your books that most of these things are hiding from us. Okay? Yeah, but please, is circumcision taught by the Prophet?
Yes, Sharia says in sex,
first of all,
two circumcised parts come together. That means a male and female both are circumcised.
Muhammad himself, he never been circumcised. Okay. And then you ask yourself why Muhammad, he is teaching people to circumcise, and he himself did not practice it. The Muslim, they will say to you that Allah is the one who does circumcise the Prophet, so he do not need anyone to circumcise him. And for sure, circumcision here is not really, a real circumcision. They say it's like, he circumcised him, in his way, But obviously, Muhammad is trying to copy the Jews about circumcision. However, when the Quran, when Islam, he speak about women, there is many hadith speaking about women's circumcision, and this is where the Muslim, they sponsor those ideas of circumcision of women. And even the Muslim, they have tons of articles about the benefit of circumcision of women.
Exactly.
So if we go in the hadith, let us go in the hadith here.
Okay.
I'm trying just to find the hadith which is speaking about.
No problem, sir. I'm ready to learn.
Let us see if we can find this one in English. There we go.
Okay.
So this is a hadith about Muhammad, about Muslim women. They are practicing the circumcision for women, and then they were cutting too severely. They are really, hurting those girls badly. So Muhammad, obviously, this is causing bad bleeding and etc. So Muhammad, he is the one who taught them to do circumcision. So he said to that women, don't, hurt badly. Don't be extreme in the cutting. But this is where Muslims, they take it that it's okay to cut and we have to do circumcision for women. And this hadith here is a sahih, as you see.
Wow. So if there is a big scholar right now in West Africa, specifically in the Senegambia region, I still don't want to tell you where I come from, but Senegambia region might give you an idea, okay? And this guy studied from Egypt or somewhere very close to that area, but he recently sided with campaigners from the West, okay, who are trying to outlaw, okay, this female genital mutilation. And this scholar also says that the practice of female genital mutilation is un-Islamic. It's nowhere in the Quran. But me having your book and listening to some of your videos for 2 years now, it seems like it seems like I saw or I heard you saying that yes, there is a hadith that supports something like that, and this is why I called tonight to make sure that I verify this. Yeah.
Well, this is not the only bad thing here, but the question is, there's many hadiths speaking about this. As an example, that the khitan or circumcision for women supposedly is to control the sexual desire of the women, so she will not feel horny. And this is mean that only Muslim man he can enjoy sex, and Muslim women she should not enjoy sex. And actually, this is why you will see that the wife of Muhammad, she's obviously being circumcised, and she never have orgasm. So if we go and we read here, you will see that the wife of Muhammad, her name is Salama.
Okay.
She said, "Do women even have discharge? Do the women even have discharge?"
No.
And here you ask yourself, why this woman, she don't know what is discharge? And she is the wife of Muhammad, you know. Why she never have discharge? Discharge happened because the woman, she got excited. And if she is not, either the man, he cannot do it. He's not making her excited. She hate him maybe. Or the woman, she is circumcised. But we have in front of us, the wife of Muhammad, she says, do even the women have discharge? So the wife of Muhammad witnessed that she is his wife and she never ever had
orgasm.
And this is also one of the Sahih hadiths.
Oh, this is Sahih Bukhari in front of us. Here we go. Hadith 130.
Yeah. Does a woman get a discharge? And there is a big question mark. Yes, let your right hand be indoors.
Yeah. So if you ask yourself, the Muslims, the Muslims, they say Muhammad was so strong in bed. He used to able even to go and do boom boom to all his wives, even his sex slaves, even in hour, which is the word sa'a in Arabic mean today hour, but today in the time of Muhammad mean like 15, 20 minutes. So in 15 minutes, the guy was able to do 13 women, which is impossible. This is fraud. But you notice here that the wife of Muhammad herself, she never had discharge. So what is the reason? Muslims can leave their comment and they can tell us, is that because Muhammad, he is not good in bed? Is it because Muhammad, he did not even have sex with them? Or because those women, they have circumcision?
Yeah. Or maybe she was circumcised. And for me, I told my mom, hey, look, I don't want to marry any woman who is circumcised, okay? So I will go for this woman who is circumcised, okay, so that I can enjoy and they will be enjoying. And he said, no, this woman will leave you and you will never be a happy man in this marriage, and I don't want you to come back to me crying, okay? So, but now that I noted this hadith, and I will take this hadith to the scholar again, okay? Because
why don't call the scholar, let him join us right now?
Wow, this scholar is very big down there, man. And
I like him big. I will make him small. I promise you.
Okay. Do you agree that if I can establish some contact between you and this scholar?
Yeah, just invite him right now. Call him in Skype, or you can call him by your phone. Put him in the phone. It's up to you.
No. We are not staying together. Okay. Yeah, but he speaks, of course, Arabic, and you are native Arabic scholar, of course. So you will be able to communicate.
He can invite it. Do he speak English?
I will have to find out. I'm sure that he speaks Arabic. Okay, so for English, I will first need to talk to this man, and after I will write you through text message, that is me. And the second clarification that I want you to make is about this Maliki group. Okay, because a student to this scholar also said, we in West Africa, we are into this Maliki school because it's the authentic version of Sunni Islam, okay? And try to justify that because I raised an argument that because he said there was no compulsion in Islam, and when I was going to primary school back in the Senegambia region, one of our subjects is called SES, I forgot it. Social studies. Okay, social studies. And in this social studies, we are taught how Islam came to our part of the world, okay, through jihad. It is even called Soninke Marabu Wars. So Soninke is our local language. It only means those pagans. Soninke mean pagans, okay? And Marabouts mean these scholars who know about Islam. So the wars between the pagans and the Marabouts. And in the school, everybody in that area, you went to school, you have to go through this curriculum. Okay? So I was like, hey, we all know when Islam came to our side, and our people were never before Muslims. Okay? So they were converted forcibly, terribly. People were massacred, and the book follows. And even the griots are even singing that in folklore, in songs today. But he's adamant that there is no compulsion in Islam, and he even came up with a verse. Okay? And because I have a lot of things that I'm doing, so I cannot even remember whether this verse is from Medina or from Mecca. From your books, I read it last year. You are countering this argument in your book. Okay, there is also a verse that says that that encourage Muslims to wage war. Okay, but this man is like, no, the verse that encourage Muslims to wage war. That is the first verse. But later, the second verse came that says that Muslims will not wage war. There is no compulsion. Will you agree with that?
Those verses are abrogated. The chapter of the Tawbah is almost the last chapter was given to Muhammad, and in that chapter it says, Bara'a.
Fight
the first beginning.
non-believers.
Actually, the real name of this verse, the chapter is Bara'a.
So,
Bara'a the Tawbah. This is the real name of the Tawbah. It's not a Tawbah. It's called Bara'a, the real name. Even the Muslims agree this is the real name, So in the chapter of At-Tawbah, Muhammad is a hypocrite. So when he was weak, he said, okay, let's sign a peace agreement because simply we are weak. But when we are not weak no more, we are going to kill them all. So if we go in chapter of At-Tawbah, and I will put for you the screen, verse number 1. You see in the translation it says freedom from all obligations is declared from Allah and His Messenger. So he washed his hand from all agreement and all what he said before about signing peace with those who don't accept him as a prophet. So go and attack in the coming 4 months and slaughter them all. All right? So the Muslims themselves, they agree that there's something called abrogation and abrogated verses. So the verses about, there's no compulsion in religion, this is abrogated by the chapter of the sword, which is the chapter of At-Tawbah. All right? Yeah. So
this is where
when they quote this, then if this is true that there's no compulsion in religion, then Quran is full of contradiction. Why? Because it's chapter 9, verse 29 says it clearly: go and kill the Christian and the Jews unless they convert or they pay jizya. So if there's no compulsion in religion, then this verse is a fraud then, because they can't be both right? If you cannot force a person to accept a religion, then what this verse is about? And actually that verse, it was about Muhammad saying to the Christian and the Jews, You cannot force your children not to convert to Islam, not the opposite. You know what I mean? It's not the opposite. It's not about Muslim cannot force you. He was saying to the Christians, you cannot force your children not to accept Islam.
Yeah.
All right?
So I now got it. So I want this place to be very clear, because sometimes, like, okay, in your book it says Allah is the best of the deceptors, okay?
Deceivers,
and that is deceivers, and that is not you saying that, you are quoting. Like, this is one thing I like from you, okay? And not only from you, anybody I think who is doing this kind of work, you need to quote the source. You don't have to come with your own opinion, because at the end of the day, we are very plenty in this world. Everybody can have his or her own opinion, okay? But you have to quote from the source. And my point is, like, they can be very deceptive, because for me, I cannot remember or figure out which verse was earlier, okay? And he was like, hey, the earlier verse was that Muslims have to wage war, they have to fight. Okay, because the Prophet and his band were very persecuted down there in Makkah, and that was why this verse came. But later in Medina, there is another verse that says that nobody should be forced. But this is, I cannot wrap my mind around this after listening to you for a while.
So, my friend, did you decide to leave Islam or not yet?
Yeah, honestly, like, please don't tell me what. Okay, yes, I already said I'm from West Africa. Okay, so yeah, that's okay, but they will not locate me. So yeah, I honestly leave Islam. Okay.
All right. Okay. So as long as you decide to leave Islam, we are very happy for you. What do you think about becoming Christian?
Yeah, for me, becoming Christian also, I try to I managed to get a copy of a Bible. Okay, to try to read myself when I was not very busy, and I came across some passages that were really difficult to me,
Like what? Give me some, so I can help you.
Okay, the passages has to do with slavery, okay? Has to do with slavery, and I was seeing in the passage was like, hey, you have to obey your master. Even if your master is not looking at you, you have to... You have to do your work as if he is working over you. Okay? Yeah, and I was like, who is speaking here? Is it some kind of prophet, or is it Jehovah or Yahweh, or who is speaking here?
Okay.
And the few Christian friends that I'm having around, they said, hey, this is Yahweh or Jehovah, the supreme power speaking.
You see, my friend, when the Bible speaks about you have to obey your master, and this can appear in many places actually in the Bible. It's speaking to the Christians, right? Because who is the one who read the Bible? The Christians, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Not non-believers.
We just, before you call me, we just showed you that even in the Old Testament, people, they sell themselves, their service, to be a slave for a maximum of 7 years, which means 6 years and 1 day. And after that, they have to go let free. So being a slave here is not about Christianity is encouraging slavery. It's about being honest. You sold your service to your master. You are working for him. You are getting return in that. Let us say you are getting salary. You are getting wages. At that time, the wages can be, like you have a debt. Let us say you borrowed money from somebody. You could not pay him back. You say to him, I want to work for you for equal time of the money. Let us say I borrow from you $3,000. So, okay, how long, what is the wages at that time for $3,000? Let us say maybe 3 years. So I say I will work for you as your servant for 3 years. So the Bible is saying that you have to be honest when you serve your master. You don't cheat. You are not a liar. So when you serve with honesty. From your side, you have to be honest. Maybe he's not honest. Maybe he's a fraud. He's a bad person. Right?
Yeah.
But you, as a Christian, you always have to be decent with your master. So it's not about encouraging slavery, it's about being good Christians. Otherwise, Jesus never owned a slave, did he? He never owned a slave.
No. I never came across a scripture.
No, Jesus never even owned a donkey. So Jesus never owned a slave, never owned a human, never owned an animal, never owned a house. So Jesus and his disciples, they went around the world and they were very poor. They never owned anyone. They never bought anyone. They never, they don't have an army and soldiers and slaves and servants. Jesus himself, he washed the feet of his disciples, correct? I think you heard of that before, right?
Yeah, I heard of that.
So Jesus here is being a servant, and the disciples, they were the masters. He said to them, when they said to him, Lord, how we can let you do it? I mean, you are our Lord. He told them, he said, you cannot be a master without being a servant. So a Christian master, he have to be servant too. Right? So the servant here, my friend, when the Bible speaks about obeying your servant, is about don't be hypocrite. You be a Christian and you do what what is your job is. Let us say I work now for Amazon, and I believe Amazon is a form of slavery. And actually, truly, I believe that those big companies, they are enslaving people.
Calm down. You said what? Amazon?
I believe Amazon and those big companies is a form of slavery today.
A form of slavery, okay.
A form of slavery, because they make billions, trillions of dollars, and you get $8 an hour, So they're what? You need them. You need them. So you give your life for them. You work for 20 years, and then you get what? Hardly you can afford to buy maybe an apartment. But the one who is your master is a filthy rich, right? So this is a form of slavery, but this slavery is different today. You go home. You watch TV when you are done, Because here the master, he don't want to be responsible for you. So after the 8 hours of work, go home because I wouldn't want to be responsible for you, okay? Just go. So slavery still exists, but it's different form. People use people today is different form. However, if I accept to work for the beast of Amazon or Google, I have to be a decent as a Christian. I promise them a service, I have to do it. So this is what the Bible is teaching you, to be a decent human being. Don't tell them I will do the work, but you don't want to do it. Right?
Yeah. So I think I need to look into this even deeper and check it very well. But for me, like I told you, this was like a shutdown for me once I saw that.
No, my friend. Even the Bible, if you go to 1 Peter, it says, live as people who are free. This is okay, live as people who are free. But he's not free. Live as people who are free. Not using your freedom as a cover up for evil, but living as servant of God and his daughter. But we never said in the Old Testament there's no slavery. We are speaking about a man who was selling his daughter. So you are a certified idiot. And look how hypocrite you are. You quote for me the book chapter 25, verse number 44, 46. But why you did not quote the verses before it? The answer, because you are a mule and you are a hypocrite. We as a Christians, we don't deny what is in our book. It is you Muslims who deny it. And remember, we are comparing what exist 3,000-4,000 years ago to the mentality of people today. Yet, even 3,000 years ago, if a master, he broke a tooth of his slave, he have to let him free. If he broke a tooth of his slave, he have to let him free. So if a human being want to be honest for a second, that a human being cannot be a Muslim. In the same time, if slavery is bad for the Muhammadan, all of Islam is about slavery. Nobody owns slaves as much as Muhammad. The caliphate, one of the caliphate, he have in one palace more than 10,000 women just for breakdancing. Not even for cooking, not to serve, just for belly dancing. Muhammad himself, he have tons of them all around his house. Muhammad, he received slaves as gifts. So when you bring us the Old Testament was exist long before the faith in Muhammad is exist. Human being is going forward, Muhammad is going backward. This is the truth. Muhammad is a scam. If Christianity into slavery, then Jesus, why he did not own slaves? What is the problem exactly? Who is holding Peter and Paul and John and all the disciples of Jesus to have slaves? It is the time of slavery. Jesus, who make the blind see, cannot he make money to buy a slave? Let us say he is not God, as the Muslim they claim. Why he don't act like Muhammad? Can't he ask the 12 disciples to go and buy some sword and attack people in the street and arrest them and make them slaves? Muhammad even forbid a Muslim man to marry a slave girl. Look at the madness we see in front of us. If you go in the Quran, you will see the following. Let us see which verse. When a Muslim woman, she married her own slave. She was executed. Let me try to find the story. All right, we found the reference. This is a very well-known Islamic terrorist website, Al-Islamu Su'alun wa Jawab, Islamic question and answer. This is fatwa number 153718. Question: is it allowed for a woman to sleep with her slave? We will find later the answer: no. What about marrying the slave? No. Translate. I will use Google Translation. Is it permissible for the woman to have intercourse with her property? They translate the word abd, which means black slave, as a property. Answer: it is not. Okay. Why? Because she is a lady. Okay, we continue. Is it forbidden for a slave to marry his mistress? To marry, not to sleep, to marry. The answer: no. Okay, why a Muslim woman, she cannot marry her slave? Is it? If we go in the Bible, can a man marry his slave? He can. In Islam, you can have sex with a slave if she is a female, but the slave, he cannot have sex with Muslim women and he cannot even marry her. What if a Muslim slave, he married without permission of his master? If he do that, he committed adultery. So my friend, we as a Christians, we do not deny that in the Old Testament there is a slavery. It is the Muslims who try to cover up all the stupid things in the world. There's a video of this guy, son of Muta, Uthman ibn Farouk. He was speaking to a Christian woman. He says, in the Bible it says your property. Do you agree with that? In the Bible it says your property. Do you agree with that? Or the Quran says your property. So those cowards, they have no dignity, no honesty. And now let us see if this guy who wanna get me busted, he can speak to us. Do we have the courage to answer and talk? Let us see. Yeah, text terrorist, you don't dare to answer. Let us see other Abdul. Yes, Abdul, how are you? You are a Hindu or you are a Muslim?
I'm a Hindu and am I audible to you, Christian Prince?
So what?
I'm a Hindu. Actually, I'm the correct word is not Hindu, it's Sanatan Dharma, but it's okay. I'll go with Hindu.
All right, why you are calling me?
I'm very glad you accepted my call. Thanks. But I
because
thought
you said you
no, because I thought normally YouTubers they say they accept calls, but you actually do. No, that's hats off to you.
I understand what?
Like lot of people, they say they accept random calls, random people, but they don't. But you actually do. So, hats off to you.
Yeah, because you said to me you want to get me busted. That's why I was interested in it. Because I like to see somebody get me busted.
You said very, very funny thing. Okay. Like if I hold a coin or a currency and the person who is on that currency, I feel like he is my king. Okay. So who do you have on your currency right now?
Benjamin Franklin.
Yeah. So whose image is on the dollar right now?
Whoever. I am an American citizen. I was in the American army.
So is that person your king?
Yes, he is. He's the ruler of the country.
So do you have who is I'm for Joe Biden's image on that photo?
My friend, he is the president right now. Yeah, he can send me to jail if he wants.
Yeah.
He's in charge. He can go in war. He can attack your country. So he's the king of this country. So what's the problem now?
Yeah, but his image is not on your currency, right?
Don't be silly. Don't be silly. So
what if you said that? Yeah. So
no,
it's silly,
we
right?
will not say that. You are just
silly, right?
Just being a silly. Mr. Beef. Listen to me carefully. When Jesus he said to them, at that time the coins will have the same image of the Caesar. So who is the one who his image there? They said Caesar.
Yes.
So he said to them, give what to Caesar, and you are being silly.
I agree.
So either you speak smart, or I'm going
to. When British were ruling India, so we had British images on India, right?
Yeah.
So that means
Okay, hold on. So let us ask you: when the British they rule India, you obey who?
The Queen or the King in England.
We don't obey. We were forced to obey. That is a different thing.
You are
and those the Jews are forced to. They
not everybody is obeying. Not. Listen, people are openly saying.
Just go. I mean, I want to speak to people. They have even interesting point of anything. Don't waste my time, stupid idiot. The Jews, they are in their occupation too, and they've been forced to. So they are being hypocrite. If you really are a revolutionary against the occupation, then don't carry the money of the occupation. Use your own money. Use money of anybody, but not the one who occupy you. So they are hypocrite. They are standing in the court, which is a Roman court, which means the rabbi, they are taking their authority from the Roman, their position from the Roman. The soldiers who arrested Jesus, they brought him to the court, they are Roman. And yet they are hypocrite. They don't want to say that we are obeying Roman. Mr. Hindu, I appreciate you, and I believe Muhammad appreciates you too. This is why he made the biggest chapter in the Quran, the cow chapter. Don't please tell me about philosophy, because obviously your philosophy is awkward like Muhammad. I like to speak to smart people. When somebody is stupid, don't waste my time. The purpose of that question is, if Jesus said, pay the tax to Caesar, then he is approving the authority of Caesar. So how he is the king of the Jews? If Jesus said, don't pay tax to Caesar, he would have a problem with Caesar. But Jesus don't care about both. Jesus, he said to them, you are a bunch of hypocrites. You have the money of Caesar. You work for Caesar. You get salary from Caesar. All those rabbis, they get paid by Caesar. What people don't understand, that the Roman, they occupy the Holy Land, but the rabbis, they are under the authority of Caesar. Their houses exist, they have salary, they live fancy life. This is why they are the council in the court. The ruler, he just do, they are the jury. The ruler, he just do what they say. Who you want me to crucify? The rabbi, they say Jesus. So they are there because simply they are employee of Caesar, not only carrying the money of Caesar.